The scream of the fireborn stallion shivered against her spine. Heat blasted behind, and sparks stung the backs of her legs. Ceridwen staggered upward toward the rim of the crater, resisting the call to battle that surged through her blood. There would come a moment for vengeance, a day for retribution, but now there was no time. Bear had no time. He hung limp across her shoulders, and she held him tight, left arm hooked over his leg and clenching his wrist. Tight, lest her gloved hands lose purchase on his blood-slicked arm. Tight, lest his body fail and his spirit flee, and her grip alone might save him. Stay with me. Bent beneath his weight, she rammed her boots into the fire-bitten earth, fighting to reach the rim. The stallion screamed again. Rock shook at the sound, stirring ash that drifted away before her. Muscles trembling, Ceridwen lunged over a rough patch. Bear's chin thudded against her shoulder, and a ragged moan escaped his lips. She fought to hold him steady as his bruised and broken limbs hung limp. Blood coated his chest. It plastered her long red braid to her neck and dampened her singed leathers. So much blood. Too much. She thrust the burst of panic from her mind, steeled fear and hope from her heart as well, as she lurched upright. No hooves yet drummed at their heels. The stallion did not pursue them. It lurked below, concealed in that dense cloud of smoke stirred by the frenzy of the herd. So she staggered onward, upward, for Bear, for her brother. Her head throbbed with each jarring step. Pain danced a blistering trail across her skin and lodged in the seared flesh of her left forearm. Before the stallion's focused blast, her treated leather vambrace had crinkled like dried leaves and disintegrated, leaving a raw, weeping wound behind. But Bear had borne the brunt of the attack, caught off guard when her catrope failed, freeing the stallion to whirl upon him and unleash the wrath of a firestorm. "Hold on, Bear," she rasped. "Hold on." Atop the rim, her legs gave out. Her knees struck, and she eased Bear down. He slipped from her hands and landed with a sickening thud, but he made no sound. Her heart caught. Gasping, she pulled his shoulders into her lap. Merciful Aed. Here, above the smoke that had smothered the crater in the wake of the struggle, his injuries were clear. The sight of shattered bones and burned flesh set her gut heaving, though her stomach had long since emptied in a rush that had left her dizzied as the fireborn stallion trampled him, pounding hooves descending again and again, grinding his body into the ash. And it was her fault. Her pride had driven the challenge. The ritual claiming of a soul born from the wild, the Soldonia, was an ancient tradition little honored of late in the kingdom of Soldonia. Wild-born steeds were volatile, and the war chiefs had turned to breeding instead, maintaining rich bloodlines of pasture-raised steeds. But she had goaded Bear, daring him to race on the eve of their 17th year, to claim a fireborn, to prove their worthiness to the blood of Lochran. Now he was dying, or perhaps already dead. Bile rose in her throat, and she forced it down, blinking the sting of smoke from her eyes. It swirled in the wind that constantly gusted through this rugged country, whispering of death, as it curled around shattered rocks and rattled dry scrub. Steeling herself, she lowered her ear to Bear's mouth and held her breath, listening. Air rasped faintly in his throat. He lived. He lived. Training resumed control. She tore open her satchel and dug for bandages. Thank Aed and the warrior spirits, too, that it had survived the struggle. Her fingers left scarlet stains on the cloth as she bound the worst of Bear's injuries, applying pressure to halt blood loss, support for shattered bones, and a covering for burns. The bandaging soaked through before she was done, so she added more and more, tying, pressing, bandaging, until her stock ran out and her hands dripped red. Her chest constricted. "Hold on, Bear." She lurched to her feet, head pounding, searching the surrounding crags for something, anything, that could help. Loose rock crunched beneath her boots. On foot they had traveled, without even common horses, Tolf, to speed the journey.